Hello guys, welcome to 𝐂𝐤𝐿. My name is Vishal Mankar, and today in this video we are gonna cover the 10th trigger scenario of our English trigger playlist. So let's start. First, we will understand the scenario. What is the scenario here? Okay, so when a customer history, that is a child record, is inserted, updated, deleted or undeleted, we have to recalculate the total number of related records and update the rollup summary field, that is count, on the customer, that is a parent object, and we have to perform this operation without using aggregate query. So let's understand the scenario on the UI. Let's say we have two objects. First is customer, second is customer histories. Customer is the parent object and customer histories are child object of customers. Okay, so as you can see, this is the customer record and it has multiple customer histories record, right? If I deleted any of the customer history record, or if I created any another customer history record, then that count should be updated on the count field of the customer record here. Okay, that count should be updated here. So we have to write a trigger for that. So let's jump on the developer console. Now on the developer console, what we will do, we will click on the file, new, and then apextrigger. We will provide the trigger name. We have selected here a subject as customer history. Why? Because we have to fire the trigger on a subject, that is customer history. When the customer history record inserted, when the customer history record updated, deleted or undeleted, we have to find the total count. That means how many numbers of customer histories record are there on the customer record. Then we have to update that count on the count field of the customer record. So let's submit it. Now the important thing is we have to select the events here. So we will select here after insert, after update, after delete and after undelete. We have provided here 4 events here, that is after insert, after update, after delete and after undelete, right? So guys, please focus here because this is the one of the most asked trigger question in an Salesforce interview. So be focused here. Now as a best practice, we will use here trigger.isAfter and then trigger.isInsert, isUpdate and so on. So as a best practice, we have written here trigger.isAfter, then trigger.isInsert, isUndelete, isUpdate, isDelete. Okay. So why I written here is, I will explain you. I have written here after insert. That means whatever the handler class I will call, it will execute only after insert only. And here in or condition we have undelete also. So after undelete of the customer history record, whatever we written here or whatever we call any handler class, it will execute on after undelete only. Same for here and same for here also, after update and then after delete. Okay, so whatever we call here, any logic or any another handler class we call, so that will call after insert, after undelete, here after update and here after delete. So let's create another handler class to write the logic. Here we have created another class, that is customer trigger handler. So in this class, what we will do, we will write the logic to execute and call that class here, here and after delete. Okay, so what we will do, we will create another method inside it, that is a static method, and that method what we will do, so this method will calculate the how many customer histories record are there associated with the customer and update the count on the count field of the customer object. Here we have created one method, that is rollup. Okay, and we will call this method from this trigger. So guys, as you can see here, I have called the rollup method of this class if inside this after insert, after undelete, after update and after delete. Okay, so now what we will do, we have to pass the parameter. Okay, so in insert and undelete, we have to pass the parameter as trigger.new and second parameter as null. I will tell you why we are passing the null as a parameter, and for delete we are passing trigger.old and second parameter as null, and for update we will pass trigger.new and second parameter as trigger.oldMap and save it. Okay, so in the case of insert and undelete, we are passing the trigger.new. So in the trigger.new, we are getting the inserted record, newly inserted record or newly undeleted record, and second parameter will be null. Why? Because in trigger in insert and undelete, we don't have trigger.oldMap and we don't want to pass any another parameter. That's why we are passing as a null. And in delete we have trigger.old. Okay, but we don't want to pass the trigger.oldMap here. That's why we are passing null as a parameter. And trigger.update, we are passing trigger.new, that means the newly updated record will be there into the trigger.new. And in trigger.oldmap, we are passing, and in this trigger.oldmap, what will be there? It will contain the old record. For example, let's say we are updating one record from Vishal to 𝐶𝐕_Clouds. Okay, so in the trigger.new, it will 𝐶𝐕_Clouds, the record with the 𝐶𝐕_Cloud value would be there. And in trigger.oldmap, the same record will be present, but the value would be the old values. That means record with the old values, that is record with the Vishal as a value. Okay, so now we have passed the parameters from here, but we haven't catch that parameters here, so we will catch it. So first parameter is trigger.new. What is meant by trigger.new? Trigger.new means list of customer histories records. So we will catch that trigger.new into the list of customer history record. Here we have catch the trigger.new into the list of customer histories record, that is in the customer histories variable. Now we will pass the second parameter. Second parameter is null here, and into the after delete it is also null. But into the update, we can see there are trigger.oldmap, that means the records with the old value. So we will catch this trigger.oldmap here. What is meant by trigger.oldmap? What it returns? Trigger.oldmap means map of id comma the object. Object means this object, customer history object. Okay, so the id versus this object's record, that means old map. That is trigger.oldmap will pass the record, that is the customer history record with the old values. So we will give it as old map. Okay, so now here we have catch the values from the trigger. We will also save the trigger. Now it's time to write the logic. So inside our method, what we will do, we will write the logic. But before writing the logic, as a best practice, what we will do, we will check if this customer history is null or not. If it is null, that means if it is empty, that list is empty, that means we don't have any records to process, then we will end that code there. So that means, as you can see here, into the if condition, I have written here one condition. If customer history is empty, that means we don't have any customer history record to process, then return only. Return means we have to end up that code there, we have to stop the code there and only. Okay, then but if it is not empty, then it will not go inside this if block, and it will jump here direct. So what we will do here, we will loop over that customer history records, that means customer history list. What is the data type? Data type we are giving at the left side. Here we are giving the instance. Now inside the for condition, what we have to do, we have to write down the logic, or we have to write down the conditions for insert, update, delete and undelete. So for every event we have to write the condition here. So we will write down the first condition for insert, old map equals to null. So in the insert condition, old map is null, that's why we are checking here old map should be null, that means it is a insert record. And customer histories dot customer not equal to null, that means whatever the records we are gonna insert, that should have customer record populated, that means customer parent should be populated onto the child record, then only we will execute the next logic. So this is the condition for insert. Okay, now the same condition will be applied for the undelete also, because on the undelete we are passing the trigger.new. Trigger.new will be come into the customer histories, it will loop over it, and old map is null. As you can see here, into the undelete we are passing the old map is null, that means first condition is satisfied. And second condition, customer history is customer not equal to null, that means that child record should have parent record. That so if it has parent record, then only we are gonna update the count on the parent, otherwise we don't do anything. So into the undelete also, that condition is satisfying, because we are passing the old map as null, and we are passing the trigger.new. Okay, and we are also checking that customer history should have customer that is populated. So this is the condition for the insert and undelete. Okay, then next we will check for the delete also. For the delete, this condition is also satisfying, because as you can see here, into the delete condition we are passing the trigger.old and trigger.oldmap, that is mean by second condition is as null, second parameter is null. You can see here the old map is null, second parameter is null, old map is null, that means first condition is satisfied. And cs.customer is not null, cs.customer not equal to null, that means the record that we are gonna delete, that must have customer record populated. As you can see here, record.old null. That means whatever the record we are passing here, that means whatever the record we are deleting, it should have customer record. So the first condition is satisfying for insert, for undelete, and for delete. Now only after update is pending. So now here what we will do, we will write down the condition for the after update. Okay, so for the after update, what is the first condition? So the first condition is, okay, as you can see here, we are passing the second parameter trigger.old map, and it is not a null because we are passing the trigger.old map here. So not equal to null. First condition is satisfied in after, and another condition we will write into this bracket here. So the second condition is ch.customer. That means, so the current customer is not equal to old customer. Old map dot get ch.id dot customer. Here what we are writing, the current customer on the customer history record is not equal to the old customer. That means if the customer is changed, then only we have to fire our logic. Otherwise we don't have to fire our logic unnecessary. So I will explain you how the old map works. So in the old map, as you can see, the format of the old map is id comma customer history, that is id versus customer history. So here in the old map, if we pass the id, then it is returning the customer history record of this id. We have to pass here customer history id, then it will return the customer history record. So in the old map, we are getting the ch.id. That means we are passing the customer history's id. Ch means customer history, as you can see here. .id means id. Okay, so here what will come, here it will throw the customer history. That means customer history record is there, the complete record customer history is there. Now dot customer, that means from that record we want the customer fields value. So it will return the whatever the value is present inside the customer object, I mean customer field of the customer history record. Okay, and if it is not equal, that means the value of the customer is changed from the customer history record, then only we have to write our logic here. Okay, so what we will do, we will create one set and take the customer IDs into that set. As you can see here, I created one set of ID, that is customer IDs, and now I am adding the customers, that means customer IDs into this set. So customer IDs dot add ch.customer. Okay, so here into this customer IDs, all the customer IDs will be present. Here into the insert, undelete and delete, what we did, we are taking all the customer IDs into this set. Okay, and for update, what we are doing, we are checking the null check here. Okay, so if the current customer is present, then only we have to add that customer ID into the set. That means current customer is not equal to null, then we have to add this. Okay, and we have to write one more condition here. If the old customer is not equal to null, then we have to add that customer ID, that means old customer ID, into the set. Okay, I will again explain you from here. In the insert condition, what we are checking, old map equals to null, because into the insert condition we are passing old map as null, and we are checking the customer should not be null. And same with the conditions we are checking for undelete and for delete also. Then whatever the customer, that is parent record, is there, we are storing that parent record, that is customer IDs, into this set. Okay, and in the old, that means, and in the update scenario, what we are checking, old map not equal to null, that means that record should be updated. And we are checking one more condition, that current customer, let's say for example there are two customers, Vishal and 𝐶𝐕 So on the customer history record, first is Vishal, and we are checking, we are changing into the 𝐶𝐕. Then ch.customer means the customer history record with 𝐶𝐕, that is mean with new value. And old map means, this is what it will return, it will return the customer history record with the old value, that means with the old customer, that is Vishal customer. Okay, so here we are checking, if the current customer is not equal to null, then we are taking that customer IDs, because we have to update that customer also, and we have to take the old customer also, because from the old customer we have to minus one customer history record, because that customer is changed. That's why we are checking, if it is not null, then we have to take that old customer record also. Now using the customer IDs, what we have to do, we have to fetch the customer records with this customer ID. So we will write down the SQL logic here after the for loop. So guys, as you can see here, I have queried on customer object. Okay, that is select ID count. So this is the field on the customer object that I have to update from customer, where ID in customer IDs. And I have also take the inner query, that is select ID from customer histories. So what it will return? It will return the customer records with these IDs. That means whatever the IDs that are present into the customer IDs set, it will return that customers along with its child records. Okay, child records mean customer histories records. So now what we have to do, we have to check as a best practice. If it is null, then we have to stop the code there. Okay, but if it is not null, then we have to move forward. Okay, so here we are updating those customer records. That means we are updating the count of the customers records. So we are updating. So we are looping over the existing customers. Data type is customer and C is the instance. Okay, so here what we are doing, C dot count underscore C. So we have to update this field, and in this field what we have to put, we have to put the count of the customer histories. That means how many customer history records are there after insert, after delete, after update, and after undelete. So we have to store that count on the customer object, just like as you can see here. So this customer record, this is the customer 0015 record, it has 6 customer histories. Okay, so then 6 count should be there. If I add one more, then it should be 7, and if I delete it, so it should be again 6, and if I undelete it, then it should be again 7. Okay, and if I update it, then it should be add or update accordingly. Okay, so that's the thing we have to do here. After this, what we are gonna do, C dot count equals to C dot customer histories, C dot customer history dot size, semicolon. Okay, so what it is returning, C dot customer histories, it will return the list of customer histories of that parent. That means for this customer record, how many customer histories are there? So it will return that list of customer histories dot size. Dot size means how many records are there into the customer histories. Okay, so the list of customer histories dot size, that means C dot customer histories dot size. So it will return the count of the customer histories for that parent, and it will store it into this count field. Now we have created one variable here, that is list of customers to update, and in this variable we are adding the customers that we want to update. So customers to update dot add C semicolon, and by checking the null check we are updating those customers. So now we have saved our trigger and our handler class also. So it's time to test it. Okay, so we will go to the UI. For you, I will create one more customer, that is a fresh customer, test customer. We will save it. As you can see here, the count is empty. Now I will check for the insert scenario. I will try to insert one customer history record and save it. After saving the customer history, you can see that the count 1 is updated. I will also again create one more customer history record. As you can see here, the count is updated to the 2. Okay, now this is the conditions for the insert. So insert scenario is successfully working. Now we will execute the test for the delete scenario. So if we are trying to delete one record, okay, how many customer histories are there right now? Now it is 1 only, so it will be 1. I will update it, I will refresh it. See, as you can see here, the count is 1. Now it's time to test the undelete scenario. So what I will do, I will go to the recycle bin. I have deleted this record. Now I am going to restore it. That means I am undeleting it. So the record is successfully undeleted. Now it will show the count. I will refresh it. As you can see here, there are 2 customer histories. That's why our trigger updated the count to 2. Now we have successfully tested our test cases for insert, delete, and undelete. Now it's time to test for the update. Okay, let's say we have 2 customers. First is customer 0016 and another customer is 0013. Okay, so this customer don't have any customer histories record, and this customer has 2 customer histories record. Now what I am trying to do, I will update this customer history record. Like I will update the parent from 13 to the 16 to 13, and I am going to save. So here the count will be updated from 2 to 1. As you can see here, the count will be updated to the 1, and from here there is no customer record, but recently I updated one customer history record and provided this as a parent. Now as you can see here, the count is 1 and customer history record is also visible here. So by this way, we have successfully tested our trigger and all the test scenarios are successfully passed. So that's all for today's video. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please like, share and comment with your friends and groups. And I have added all the social media links into the description of this video like this. Okay, you can join there and you will get all the latest notification on the WhatsApp, Instagram, Telegram and all. So please join there. And that's all for today's video. Thank you so much, guys.